Chumash and Rashi. We are a new Torah portion called Terumah. And let's get right into it. First reading.
It's a truth. No, a trooper.
Yeah. Actually, this part, a Torah portion, is what it's all about. We are in Shmois, the book of Shmois, Exodus, chapter 25, verse number 1.
Amen.
Chaim, bracha.
Amen.
Vayidaber Hashem el Moshe lemor, and Hashem spoke to Moshe, saying, Daber, speak, El Bnei Israel, to the children of Israel, v'ichu li, and they should take for me Terumah. They should take for me a Terumah. Terumah will translate as a portion right now. Okay? Me'ez kol ish, from every single man, asher yidvenu liboy, that will be motivated by the heart. In other words, motivated to give. In other words, right? Tikhu, you shall take, as Trumasi, my portion, meaning God's portion, right? Let's see Rashi on this. Lots over here. V'yikuli Terumah, take for me a portion. Li lishmi. So Rashi explains. There's a lot over here, but not for now. And there are sichas. Take for me, meaning dedicated for me. In other words, do it in for my sake, so to speak, right? Lishma. In other words, it's not a contribution to give to God, right? That's not what it should be understood as. But it should be, do it for me, meaning not to me, but for my sake, right? Dedicated in my name. Terumah. So Rashi explains, hafrasha, something set aside. Yafrishu li miminam nedava, that you should set aside money aside for me as a contribution, right? So hafrasha, set aside. Because we're going to see, also it's going to mean elevation. But here Rashi says, set aside. Yidvenu libai, whose heart is motivated to give. Lashon nadava, the word nadava is an expression of voluntary contribution. Kamashi yidvenu, as we see in the verse, or in the root of the word, nediv. This is an expression of goodwill in an old French, apaisement. Okay, tikhu es trumasi, you shall take my portion. So what does that mean now? Right, we just said, do it in my name. And now God is saying, tikhu es trumasi, you take my portion. So our sages have said, Shalosh Trumas Amores Khan. There are three different portions that are stated over here. Because if you look at the verse, we say Truma one time at the beginning, in the middle of the verse, and then Truma a second time at the end of the verse, and then the next verse it says V'zoisa Truma, and this is the Truma, a third Truma. So our sages learn from here, there are three different types of giving that we're talking about here. Three different portions that are to be given, to be set aside. One is that you give a beka per head for the sockets that held the beams and the pillars of the Mishkan. As will be explained much more clearly in the Parshas Eile Pikude later on. And one is a portion for the altar, and that is every head gives for the kupa, for the box of where you're given, where you buy the purchase of the communal offerings. Those are both half a shekel. Right here, we don't speak about half a shekel yet, but that will be a half a shekel. The achas truma. We have more books actually. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Unless you're good for now. Okay. Well, afterwards, we'll do it after. Okay. So and va'achas trumas hamishkan, and one is for the Trumas of Mishkan, Nidbatz Kol Echad Ve'echad, which is a contribution to each individual, Shenizdadlu Shloisha Asar Dvorim Ha'amurim Be'inyan, that they contributed 13 different types of things, as will be explained in the passages coming up. The Zav, the Chesed, and the Chayshes, which includes gold and silver and copper, B'cholam, Nuyam, Binyan, everything that is listed in the here. Kulam Hutzachol Melechas Mishkan. All of it was required for the work of the Mishkan, to make the sanctuary for God, or the Big Day Kuna, or for the priestly garments will be in next week's Torah portion. Kishadakti by him, as you will find when you examine clearly.
So these are the three categories that they're talking about: gold, silver, and copper.
The first one is for the sockets, half a shekel, right? That's for this. It's a one-time offering for the sockets, right? The half a shekel will be for the korbanos, for the sacrifices. That'll be every year. That will be every year, right? That will be, yeah. That will be every year, half a shekel. That's a second truma. And the third truma, which includes gold, silver, and copper, and all the other 13 things, right? That's a third truma. That will be a one-time gifting for building the Mishkan. So there's two one-time gifting for the sockets. Everybody gives an equal amount, right? Half a shekel. We'll see. We're not doing that now. He didn't even explain that it's half a shekel. I said that because all it says is the word truma. Truma means an offering, a gift. It means a separation to give, right? And Rashi is just explaining what the sages say, why there's the 3 times word truma said over here. That's all where Rashi is coming to tell us over here. I added a little more than what Rashi said, right? And then the third one that we just said, again, is a one-time gift that will be for all the things that are needed to build the Mishkan and for the clothing of the Kohanim, which will be in next week's Torah portion. Okay? This week's Torah portion is about building the Mishkan, the home for God. Okay? That's clear?
Yes. Isn't there someone that was able to read minds of like people?
That's not now.
That's the next part.
That's not next. No, it'll be in a few weeks. Yeah, it's true, but not now. Okay. Okay. Verse number 3, V'zois hatruma, and this is the portion, asher tikhu, that you should take, mi'itam, zahav, v'chesed v'nechoshes. You know, if you read it without, by the way, without the sages, what they said, you wouldn't think of that. It means 3 different things here, right? But just like a easy read, you know, a redundancy, but an easy read, that it's just speaking about the one truma, which is now what the verse is talking about. What's that? The gifts. Right, because here it is, the 3 things, the first three things, but then I'll go into more in the next verse. Yeah, you follow what I just said? Okay, verse number 3. Gold, silver, and copper. All of these items came voluntarily. Every person, what their heart moved them to give. Except for the silver that came equally from all individuals, that everybody had to give a half a shekel. And we don't find anywhere in the construction of the Mishkan that more silver was needed than the half a shekel that was mentioned above, that we mentioned from the previous verse, right? As it says, a silver that was counted for the assembly, that it was a beka per head, which is half a shekel. And the rest of the silver that they did was a contribution was made for silver implements for the Mishkan. In other words, again, so he's pointing out about the silver. Silver, the only time we find that there's an equal giving, because here it's not an equal giving, what we're talking about in our verse over here, right?
There is equal.
There isn't an equal giving except for the half a shekel that would be for the sockets, right? Otherwise, everything else of the silver is what you want to give, right? Except for that. Yeah. Now, why Rashi points that out over here, I'm not certain. I guess because he pointed out previously in the previous verse that the word Terumah, the two Terumas in the previous verse then, were hinting to the half a shekel that you have to give, right? One for the sockets and one for
Korbanot.
the karbanos, right? The sacrifices.
I don't understand the silver, that it's equal. What does it mean?
Because we just got finished saying that you're giving we just got finished saying that you're giving for the sockets, right? You're giving for the sockets half. So you asked a question, I'm answering it.
Okay.
Right, you're giving the silver, right? You're giving for the silver for the sockets, right? Right, yeah. Now we just said you're giving silver as a free will offering, so it's a contradiction seemingly. So he explains that we only find that the half a shekel for silver that was not free will offering, right? That you were obligated to give equal amount is by the sockets. And that's what he said. Simple.
So silver is the machatzit shekel?
No, it's two things. That's the point that Rashi's making over here. Our verse just said silver, but we just finished saying in the previous verse that the terumah was half a shekel of silver for the sockets. So Rashi's just saying.
Just saying now half a shekel silver. I don't understand. What
But
does
what?
it mean that the silver is equal?
So I follow the point that Rashi is making. Again, in the previous verse, we just said Terumah, you're giving silver for half a socket. Now we're just saying that you're giving silver free will. So what is it? So Rashi is saying that you're giving silver free will for the utensils, but for the Adonim, it's not a free will offering, it's an obligation to give half a shekel. That's it.
Two types of silver.
Right, now there's two types of silver.
And one is
So
free will and one you're
machatzit shekel was a coin. It's a gerah.
It's silver though. It's
made of
silver.
silver?
It's silver. Yeah, it's silver.
That's what I'm asking.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, it's silver.
So it's made
It's
of
silver.
silver.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's from silver.
That's what
That's why
I asked.
Rashi's bothered over here and has to explain.
I didn't know that it was made of silver.
The
I know
verse
that
says
it's a gerah, but that it's a coin because it's a.
It's a silver coin. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, good. Now we got that cleared, Baruch Hashem. Okay. 4. Usacheles, now continuing with other free will offering, right? Sacheles, which is turquoise wool. The argaman, which is purple wool. The selas shani, which is scarlet wool. The sheish is linen. The izim is goat's hair. Rashi in 4. The sacheles. How do you get it to become turquoise? Because it's dyed with a blue turquoise color of the chalazon fish. So its color is sea green. Argaman, purple wool. It's a wool dyed with a type of dye that is named argaman. Sheish, linen, v'hu pishtan, flax that you make linen from. From the flax you make linen. The izim, goat's hair. Noitzis shel izim. This is the pile of goats. Lekach tirgam unkeles me'azeh. Unkel is translated as me'azeh. Davar haba mina izim. Something that comes from the goats. V'lo izim, but not the goats themselves. Tirgam shel izim is zoya. And Targum Unkel is rendering as as Isaiah. So it's something coming from the goats, but not the goats themselves. Okay?
Why is he saying tchelet is yarok? The whole idea of tchelet is to remind the shamayim and the kisei hakavod.
I think.
Why is it green?
So I think it dyes sky blue, but I think it may come as a greenish blue to begin with. Yeah, that's why I understand it. Good question, but that's what I think it means. That's what I think it means. Okay, continuing number 5. Verse number 5. Va'eres elim, and now skins. Oileres means skins. Elim means from ram. Yeah, you didn't notice that the Dodge Ram has skin on it? You didn't know. You didn't notice. You didn't notice that. Yeah. Okay. Me'adamim. Um, so ram skins that are dyed red. Adamim means red. The eres skins, techashim, that are techashim. The ate shitim and shitim wood, acacia wood in English, right? Ate shitim. If you remember the mimer from Basi Lagani, those words, ate shitim, right? That's what the planks were made from, right? Well, let's see Rashi. Number 5. Ma'adamim dyed red. They were dyed red after their tanning. Right? So in other words, you have to take off the skin, you have to tan the skin, and then they were dyed red. Techashim. Min chayev v'loy haisa ela l'sha. This is a type of animal that only existed at that time. It had many colors. It was like a peacock, right? The kachma took on sas gorna. Therefore, it was translated as sas gorna. Sas umispire b'gavanim shaloi, that it rejoices and prides itself in its many colors. This is where NBC came from.
It's gone.
Yeah.
It's a variety.
Well, yeah, exactly. Ate shitim and shitim wood. Ma'ayin hayu lehem bamidbar. Where did they get the shitim wood in the wilderness? Right? They're in the desert. Where are you getting wood? You're getting a cactus, maybe, right? You could say, you know where they got the skins because they had animals with them, right? Gold and silver, you understand that. But wood? Where are they getting wood from? Rashi, so where they have this in the desert, Pirish Rebbe in the Tanchuma, so the Torah explained, Yaakov in Tzofa B'Ruach HaKodesh, our forefather Yaakov, he foresaw with the divine inspiration, Shasidim Yisrael Livnais Mishkan Bamidbar, that the Jewish people, they're destined to build a Mishkan, a sanctuary, a home for God in the desert. So when he came to Egypt, many years before, he came with shitim, this acacia wood, and planted it there for them. And he commanded his sons that they should take it with them when they have the exodus from Egypt. Wow, what a plan. That's a real chess champion, yeah? Really had everything planned in advance.
Planned ahead, yeah.
Yeah, planned ahead, exactly. Okay, verse number 6. The shemen, further, what else did they bring? They brought shemen, oil, shemen lamar, for the luminary, and others for light. Besamim and spices, the shemen, that are for the shemen amishcha, for the anointing oil. Shemen, again, is oil. The likteris asamim, and they brought likteris, they brought incense that would be smoked. In other words, you burn the incense and it would turn into smoke. Verse number 6 in Rashi, Shem Lamor, oil for light, Shem L'Zayzloch, pure olive oil. Lahalis Ner Tamid, in order to kindle a lamp that would be continuously. Which actually would be the beginning of next week's Torah portion. We'll start off with that actually.
It doesn't move. It stayed still. The smoke it didn't move in the wind.
Right. Yes. Yep.
Also ask where they got the olive oil.
No, olives. They took olives with them.
They took olives with them.
They took olives is what. Take wood. That's already something else. Wood means you have to chop down a tree, right? And it's a lot more involved than taking wood than taking some olives. They took stuff with food. They took stuff to eat, right, and whatever. So they had olives. That would make sense. You need oil. You need oil to live from, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay.
All right.
So
Anything
it's more of a problem the wood than the oil.
Yeah, the wood is like what? Wood is what do you need wood for? God protected them in the desert, right? So they don't need the wood to make a home, and they're traveling, so they're not making a wooden log cabin for themselves, right? So that was not necessary. So what were they taking it for? What would be the need for it? Okay. Spices for anointing oil. This oil was, and the spices was used for the implements of the Mishkan, in order, and the Mishkan itself to sanctify it. Some they required spices, as we will see in a couple of weeks in the portion.
So there was oil in the Ketores.
Yeah, for the Shemen HaMishcha, only for anointing oil.
But it says ve, Liktoret Asamim. It's to add.
Yeah, that's in next Rashi. The raising of the smoke of the incense, because they would take the incense and it would go up in smoke from evening to morning. As we will see next week's Torah portion. Right here, we're not speaking about the mitzvahs that are being done with it. What are we talking about over here? What are we talking about? Ten lehem.
Simply the elements.
The elements themselves that are being gifted, right? That's all we're talking about over here. Rashi is explaining what their use will be. We're only going to learn about their usage later on, next week's parsha and 2 weeks parsha, right? But Rashi is just explaining to us. But here it's only speaking about the gifts that are being given. And here the word keteris means rising of a vapor in a column of smoke. Okay, verse number 7, trucking along, because we need to do that. Okay. Ba'avnei miluim. Avnei means stones, a miluim that are filling stones. We'll see. We'll see. Oh, sorry. Thank you. Yes, I missed. Avnei shayam, stones of shayam. The avnei miluim, and stones that are filling, as we'll see. Rashi will explain. La ephod, that are for the ephod, which is the ephod is not the breastplate. The ephod is the ephod is an apron-like thing that we'll learn about next week, because that's part of the Kohen Gadol, what he wears, right? So in it, there were places where stones were put into it. That'll be next week, but that's where, right? Again, why is this all here? The gifts that are being given, right? Yeah. And for the Choshen, as Chaim said, the Choshen is a breastplate.
So where's the thing on his forehead over the...
No, get there. That'll be next week, not here. Avnei Shayam, the Shayam stones, Shtayim, Hutzrucho, Sham, Lesorecha, Ephod, Amor, Titzava, 2 were needed to meet the requirement of the ephod, as will be mentioned in next week's parsha. Miluim, filling stones. So that's shoyham stones, okay? Miluim are filling stones, right? Al shem shoisim lahem bizav meishav can mean guma, because they were indented, right? Why are they called filling? Because they're filling like a filling in a tooth, right? There's an indented, and you're filling it with the stone. So that's why it's called a filling stone, right? And then with them, setting for them in gold. And you put the stone there to fill in the indentation. And that's why they're called filling stones. In the place where the setting is, where it's called, and others, the setting of it is called mishbatzetzes. Okay? Getting a lot of new words here. A lot of new words, yeah. Leifod, for the ephod, which we called, the ephod is like an apron-like thing, again we'll learn next week. And for the choshen, which is the breastplate, right? This is all what the Kohen Gadol, the high priest, would wear. So the shayam stones were the ephod, and the filling stones for the choshen. And these 2 items will be explained in next week's parsha, and they are ornaments for the Kohen Gadol. Okay, big verse now. Big verse. Mikdash. And now, with all of this stuff, what are you going to do? And you will make for me a mikdash, a sanctuary, and I will dwell amongst them. Rashi Basuli, again, Rashi is bothered by this word li, that you're making it for me, right? This sanctuaries, Rashi says, What does it say? Number 8. But also, Kedusha, you should make for me a house that's sanctified and another dedicated to my name. Right?
Yeah. And if you make it for yourself, then you miss the whole point of
Exactly.
Judaism.
We're making it for Hashem. Exactly. Verse number 9. Everything that I will show you, as Tavnis Mishkan, the form of the Mishkan. The Mishkan, the sanctuary, or here we translate it as tabernacle. This Tavnis is called Kelav, and the form of all the vessels. And so you shall make. Okay, Rashi number 9.
Is Moshe on the mountain right now, receiving all this?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Because that's where he received everything. These, 3 times he was on the mountain for 40 days each, that's where he received everything.
Okay.
Right. Afterwards, he might receive, he won't receive them on the mountain because they left the mountain, right? But he will receive things. But these things are all on the mountain, yeah. Number 9 in Rashi, in accordance to everything that I'm showing you. Kan is establishing a Mishkan. This is the format of the Mishkan. This verse is connected to the previous verse. Also, make the Mishkan, the sanctuary, in accordance to everything that I'm going to show you. And so you shall do. In other words, what do you mean, so you shall do? He just said to do it, right? So what do you mean saying, so you shall do? So Rashi says, future generations. Because if you're going to lose one of the implements, you might think, oh, Moshe was told by God how to make it. That's it, finished, a one-time thing you're going to make. So you will do for all generations, Rashi says, that if you're going to lose one of the implements, or whatever happens, you should make it again. Or when you're going to make me an eternal house, in other words, when you're going to make the eternal house in Jerusalem, make it again, right? Because you know how many years that's after this command? How many years? About 500 years. So after this command of making, right? That was when King David made on the mountain, right? On Har Bayis. It's about 500 years. 40, 54, and 369. Right? That's all the things that happened before. Okay. So such as the candelabra, the laver, and the stands, the table that King Solomon made. You should make it according to this plan, to this format. If the beginning of the verse was not connected to the previous verse, and so they shall do. And then it would not have written, and so shall you do, but rather, so shall you do. It would have then discussed only on the present construction of the Mishkan and its implements. Okay. In other words, it would not, if it wasn't connected to the previous verse, right, that you should make a sanctuary. Because with the previous verse, what does it say? Make a sanctuary for me. It doesn't say a Mishkan. Make a sanctuary, Mikdash. It says Mikdash, right? So since it's connected to the previous verse, right? What in the desert, what did they make? A Mishkan. They didn't make a Mikdash. They made a Mishkan, a tabernacle. Mikdash is the holy temple. So it's connected to that. Keinasu. So, right, that's what you should do, meaning for generations. Is that clear? If it's all clear, we're going to learn it again next year.
That's why we always learn the parsha over and over.
Exactly. Okay, because we got a truck. Okay, now verse number 10. Now we're going to go into something specific, right? What are we going into? We're going to go into the Aron, into the ark. Also, Aaron, and you should make the ark ateshiti made from from this wood. Amasayim v'chetzi arkai. It is a 2.5 cubits. Is its length? V'ama v'chetzi rachbei, and its width is 1.5. V'ama v'chetzi kaimosei, and its height is 1.5. Rashi number 11. Oh, sorry, number 10. Why did I say number 11? My apologies. Number 10. Also, Aaron, make the Aaron
What's the difference between Orko and Komato?
2.5, 1.5.
No, it says Rama v'chetzi Komato.
Komato means the height.
Yeah, so but here he said the height is 2.5.
No. The length is,
Shitim amatayim v'chetzi Orko.
Arko means length.
Yeah,
Length is this way, width is this way, height is this way. Komato, kaimosai is height, right? That's height.
so it's like a square of 2.5.
That's not
by
square,
1.5.
it's rectangle. It's rectangle, 2.5 by 1.5.
Yeah.
By the height is 1.5. Height is 1.5.
1.5 is very short. It's like a little.
1.5 cubits, right? Yeah, it wasn't
It wasn't big.
wasn't big. What?
And
Yeah,
Amma is like
Yeah.
from here to here, right? And
yeah, that's an amma, right? But about 1.5 feet. About 1.5.
For Atzeshit. That's what they use.
No, that's the Atzei Shitim that you're making the Aron with. This is the Aron. We're only talking about the Aron here. We're not talking about the the planks. No. Planks will come. Not yet. This is the Aron. The Aron was made with wood on the inside. It was plated on the inside and outside with gold. But now we're only speaking about the wood.
Okay.
Okay, that's where the confusion is. Also, Aray, make the Aray and Kinyan Aray Oisim B'lei Raglayim. This is an ark that's made without legs, similar to. Also, it can mean Argos Shikairin. It's made like a trunk that's in Old French is screen. Yeshiv al Chulab, which rests on its bottom. In other words, it doesn't have a pedestal. Right, that's the idea. Doesn't have a pedestal, okay? Number 11. Pitzipisa, are you saying up? Right, now you should cover it with Zahav Tohar, with pure gold. Mibayis, from within. Bias means within. Or Yichutz, and from without. Titzapenu, you shall cover it. Vasisa olav, and you should make upon it, meaning on the top of it, Zer Zahav Saviv. You should make a golden diadem around it. What? We got all that stuff here. Wait a second. Well, I'll show you. We have all that stuff here. Here. Here are the three. Look, that's the wood, that's the gold, right, the inner part, and this is the diadem over here. It's like a little edge. Yeah, thank you. A little edge to it.
So what was inside there was the luchas, the.
Let's learn what we're learning. Okay? You're right, but
Okay.
that's not what we're learning now. So let's stick to what we're learning. All right, we got to take everything as the
Step by
Torah
step,
tells
step
us.
by step.
It's exactly. Okay, Rashi number 11. You should cover it, layer it with gold on the inside and the outside. B'Tzalel made 3 arks. Shnaim shel zahav, 2 that are of gold, and 1 from wood. And 4 walls and a bottom for each one of them. That were open on the top. And the wooden part is put in the gold, as I showed you, right? In other words, the wood part is the middle of the Aron, right? You wouldn't see it once it's completely made, right?
You don't see the
The shelzal b'seicha eitz. The chipa is b'zav, and it's overlaid with an upper rim with gold. So now it's covered from the inside and outside. Zer zahav. Next Rashi, the golden diadem. How does it translate? Golden rim. Okay. Kamin keser makiv loy saviv. It's a sort of crown that goes all the way around it. L'mayla misvasoi, or above its edge. Sha'alsa aren achitza gavoya mina pnimi. For he made the outer golden ark higher than the inner golden one. Until it rose opposite the thickness of the lid of the aron, and it's slightly above it. Of the aksolim, that when the lid rests on the thickness of the walls of the aron, and better to show you this with the Darim, who is similar to Keser Terah, it's a similar crown of Terah. So here is the covering, right? This is the covering. The covering didn't sit on the outside of the rim, but laid inside. So the outer golden part was higher, right? So it rests inside, and therefore the rim then also is, slightly. We're talking about slightly. So it was like it became flush. That the rim now made it higher on the outside. The rim that went around. That's what Rashi just explained. Okay? $12. Okay, let's go so we can finish. So we can learn, really. I'm always thinking about when we're finishing because of the schedule. Okay, number 12. V'yetzakta, and you should pour loy arba taba'is zohov. You should 4 tabais. Tabais is a ring, right? When you get married, the woman gets a ring, a taba'as. Taba'is is right. Zahav, 4 rings of gold, and asata al arba pa'amoisav, and you should place them in the 4 corners. Ushtei tabais al tzalisa echaz, 2 on each corner. Ushtei tabais al Atzaloya Shenis, and the second corner, right? Here. You see, it's going to speak about the poles shortly that go through it, right? And that's what they're going to carry it. This has always been carried by the Levites, never put onto a wagon. To always be carried when they go from place to place. And these are the poles that carry it, right? So there's rings. I don't know if you can see it over here. Yes. The rings. So on the 2 sides, the 2 corners. That's what the verse just said. Okay? Yitzakta, and you shall pour lush, and talk an expression of casting. Kitargumoy, as Unkelis translates. Hamoisab, its corners. Targumoy, as Unkelis translates. Zaviosa, its corners. These rings were put on the upper corners next to the lid. 2 from one side and 2 from the other side. On the width part, not the length part, right? They were put on the 1.5 side, not on the 2.5 side, right? I don't know how Rashi got that though. How does he get that from the words of the verse? Because it's not clear to me. It doesn't say the width side to do it. It just says to do it. That's interesting.
But all this description, even the slanted part you were talking about, it's like it's not written here, so it's like they know it because it was passed down from
No. We're learning Chumash Rashi. So Rashi said something. It has to be from the verse. It's not from. It's true what you're saying, but that's not Chumash Rashi. That's not.
But even before, it's like before what you were saying about the rim.
Well, the verse said the rim.
Yeah, but it doesn't explain that it was made this way, like slanted. I'm just saying. All I'm saying.
No, it says michutz. No, you can get it from the words. That was, but. Yisrael loves it. So Rashi getting it from, you know what? I don't want to. I have to look more to see more, so I don't want to say right now. But what my question over here is, it doesn't say at all which side, and Rashi said which side, right? It's going on the width side, not the length side. The verse doesn't say that. So Rashi has to have a proof for that. But okay, that's
Maybe could it be the width was named first and the length second?
the opposite. The length was said first, 2.5, then said 1.5. Okay, whatever. I don't think we should try to guess. But good guess. Okay, anyway, whatever. Maybe it'll come clear later. Right now, from this verse, I don't see how it's clear. And the poles were put into them. I have the answer. 2.5 is way too wide that a person's going to be able to carry. So of course it has to be 1.5, right? Because I just finished telling you it's carried, right? So it's carried. 2.5. 2.5 is like 5 feet. 5 feet. That's sorry. You're going to carry it like that. That's very hard. Carry it like this makes sense. So it's from logic.
So two person would carry the.
Yeah. Well, because look at the picture. Look at the picture. Right. The poles are right
Yeah,
for.
I thought
So
they
you're gonna have.
would be four.
Huh?
I thought they would be 4 people.
No, I think it's 2 people. You know what? It's 2 people. But, let's get there. You know what? I'm getting ahead of myself. But yeah, I think that'll be the next verse, I think. Okay. In any case, so the poles were put in them, and the length of the aron separates between the poles 2.5 amas between one pole and the other. Shayu. Shnei b'nei Adam and Aisim is Aaron v'alchim b'neihem, and 2 people would carry. Oh, look, Rashi says 2 people would carry the Aaron, could walk between them. One second. Oh, I'm sorry. No. So it would be 4 Levites who would carry the Aaron, 2 in front and 2 in the back. I was wrong in what I just said. I wasn't thinking. 4 people are carrying, and the proof of it that it's going on the width side, because it's going on the width side, so what's the separation? Is 2.5. It's 2.5. So it's a big separation. That's a proof that you need 4. That's it. Proof that you need 4, and that there's enough space between them that they won't trample on each other. Got it? That's how Rashi knows it. Okay? And that's how he knows it. 2 rings on one side. Those are the 4 rings that were mentioned at the beginning of the verse. Now it's coming to explain where they're located. And the vav in the word ushtei is superfluous. The meaning is like 2 rings and not 2 rings. You have to resolve it as follows. 2 on these rings on one side. Okay. 13. That's fit. And you should make badi atzishitim, and you should make poles that are made from wood, from acacia wood, and also plate them with gold. Rashi 13, badi moites, poles. 15, metabais ha'arein, and the poles of the ark, yu habadim, they should be into the rings, and do not remove them from that. That became a prohibition, one of the 365 prohibitions of Torah. Don't remove it from them. Lo yasur mimenu, don't remove it from them. Rashi, Li'olam, forever. Because they were not, no, what's, oh my gosh, can't think of the English word. They were not attached to the ring, right? So they were loose. So they're easy to be removed. Never should be removed. All right. Last verse. V'tabas ha'arein yu habadim v'lo yisur mimenu v'nesatis ha'arein is a edus hasher etein alecha, and you should put into the Aaron the edus, the testimony that I have given to you. Rashi, nesatis ha'arein, you should place in the Aaron, kamei ba'arein, meaning in the Aaron, ha'edus, the testimony, ha'torah shi ha'ledus ve'ini v'nechem, meaning the Torah that serves as a testimony between me and you, that I have commanded you in the commandments that are written in it. Wow, we got it done. Amazing. Okay. Thank you,
Thank you,
folks.
Rabbi.
We'll see you in Tanya in a few moments.